We're talking with Brian Williams, NBC News. How many Olympic Games have you covered now?
You know what? This is going to sound ridiculous, but I'd have to count them up. They've only been, while I've been at NBC, I've been at NBC 20 years. I just missed the big, fun Olympic Games that the old-timers still talk about. The big ones were Sydney and Barcelona on the summer game side. I'm guessing the first Olympic Games I ever attended was Atlanta, and then everything after that.
Has there ever been more concerned conversations, storylines about security at an Olympics that you've been to than this?
No, not that I can remember. And, it was funny leaving for this one. Both of our kids grew up knowing that I would go to some crazy places. So on the scale of possible danger, not to sound like, a member of the 1st Cavalry, but I have been to shooting wars and places that are exponentially more dangerous than this. So, and luckily, just as I anticipated, I have not thought about, what a dangerous place this is for 1 second, walking around, looking out the hotel window this morning. In fact, 3 pods of dolphins were visible on the Black Sea. When I looked out this morning, it was 67 Fahrenheit here today. I saw people taking off their shirts. It was an unbelievable day here.
Talking with Brian Williams. He is the lead anchor for NBC News, and he's in Sochi, Russia. And if you were not a newsman, let's say you transitioned into the sports world, what sport would you want to cover full time?
Oh boy, that's a great question. I'm getting over brief flop sweat. I thought you were going to ask me if I admired dance.
We'll get there.
I would, mostly because I wanted to be good enough at football to play it in the NFL, and because I have the most admiration for our Sunday night team of anybody in the business. I think the combination is just fantastic. I would probably want to stow away in the Sunday night football booth, though, between Al and Chris and Bob in the studio, I just don't think there's any need for me or role for me. But I think that duo calling games is as good as Madden Summerall. It's kind of the Madden Summerall for a new generation.
I want to get to your admiration of Dan, but first, I know that you're a NASCAR fan. Could you be a pit reporter on NASCAR coverage, maybe with that fire suit and a helmet, working the pit area for a NASCAR event?
Yeah, I'd love that. I came close. I hosted one NASCAR race down Homestead for NBC, and I'm really glad we're getting the rights again. I need to go to more races. After Earnhardt's death, my attendance trailed off. I still go to my local track during the summer along the Jersey Shore, and I've never, ever stopped watching or following the sport. But I would, yes, I would enjoy. I would also, the other guys I admire are the guys from MRN on the radio. I think they're as talented. It's like listening to Doc Emmerich call a hockey game. It's listening to somebody who does their job so well that if everybody in the country did their jobs as well, the place would run smoother.
Have you ever driven, Brian, or gotten a ride along on a NASCAR in a NASCAR?
I did. I drove in Talladega. I drove. We had NBC Sports maintain the Mellow Yellow car for a while as a 100% tricked out, current, outfitted the same as the starting field of 43. So, I not only drove, I drove also with Buddy Baker's son, took his driving school in North Carolina. So I had some instruction in it.
Top speed, legal speed on a track?
Oh, no, wasn't legal at all. I think I think I was north of 170. I've had some seat time in dirt modifieds. Those are a lot of fun. But I love it. I would do that if it didn't mean my family would disown me. I think the danger worries a lot of people.
Talking with Brian Williams, news anchor, NBC for a long time, one of the most respected men in the business, and I transition with that because I want to get your thoughts and your level of admiration for Dan Patrick and whether he's bought you dinner or you bought him dinner.
In Dan's defense, I think we're working two different shifts. We're doing nightly news live out of here, which means I am done at 4 a.m., which starts a chain of events starting with a quick ride back to the hotel and the attempt to get down for the night before the sun comes through the curtains, because once the sun is up, I am usually cooked for the day. So I have only seen Dan once. I saw him at the gym. We are being very careful with illness and germs around here, a topic you've covered well. I heard through the medical grapevine that Dan went down pretty hard, but I also hear that he, like a champ, is back up and in the game again.
And Costas is quarantined. Is that the story we're hearing?
He is, if not quarantined, he is voluntarily staying in his room. I did see Bob after what was his last night. He came back to our kind of team lounge downstairs. It had already spread to his good eye. And honest to God, I was full of sympathy and empathy for the guy. This is like the Iron Man who realized he was not going to be able to get up and get in the game the next day.
Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever fallen ill and couldn't cover something that you really had looked forward to or had to miss an assignment?
Well, the Olympics in Athens, I arrived, and, it wasn't the same stakes. When nightly news travels to these, it's because it's a global event. We're here because this is a huge and legitimate news story as well, what Vladimir Putin has done. But I got to Athens, promptly lost my voice, had to walk around with a 3x5 card saying in 2 languages that I had lost my voice. And I was down for 6 days of that trip.
Brian, we appreciate you taking time to join us on the Dan Patrick Show. Good to visit with you. Enjoy watching the coverage from Sochi, and we'll look forward to it for another week and a half or so.
Hey, I'm sorry about that weather back home. I'm about to call my wife and tell her it hit an afternoon high of 67, and our driveway back home is just a frozen mess. So enjoy your time with us, and thank you for having me on the Dan Patrick Show.
Thank you, Brian.